let me begin with Jude, verse 5 through 16. So, now I desire to remind you, though you know all things, once for all, that the Lord, after saving a people out of the land of Egypt, subsequently destroyed those who did not believe, and angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper abode. He has kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, since they in the same way as these indulged in gross immorality and went after strange flesh, are exhibited as an example in undergoing the punishment of eternal fire. Yet in the same way these men, also by dreaming, defile the flesh and reject authority and revile angelic majesties. But Michael the archangel, when he disputed with the devil and argued about the body of Moses, did not dare pronounce against him a railing judgment, but said, "The Lord rebuke you." But these men revile the things which they do not understand, and the things which they know by instinct, like unreasoning animals. By these things they are destroyed. Woe to them, for they have gone the way of Cain, and for pay they have rushed headlong into the error of Balaam, and perished in the rebellion of Korah. These are the men who are hidden reefs in your love feasts, when they feast with you, without fear, caring for themselves, clouds without water, carried along by winds, autumn trees without fruit, doubly dead uprooted, wild waves of the sea, casting up their own shame like foam, wandering stars, for whom the black darkness has been reserved forever. It was also about these men that Enoch, in the seventh generation from Adam, prophesied, saying, "Behold, the Lord came with many thousands of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all, and to convict all the ungodly of all their ungodly deeds, which they have done in an ungodly way, and of all the harsh things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These grumblers, finding fault, following after their own lusts, they speak arrogantly, flattering people for the sake of gaining an advantage." What a verse. What a few verses, Dan, off to you. I'm looking forward to your commentary.
I mean, just think about that, man. That's a lot to digest right there. So it's no wonder that we haven't really heard teaching, sound teaching, clear teaching, or when we do, it's just sort of, there's a lot there that tends to get glossed over. And my hope here and our prayer is that we unpack this to provide some clarity to what the text is saying, the significance of what the text is about, and then hopefully give you some application to know what to do with the information. And so in verse 5, the translation you were reading, it said, "the Lord." But in the ESV and some other translations, it says Jesus. And what was interesting is I saw the King James, which is normally where people go to and they're like, that's the real one. Okay, fine. So King James chose to pick "the Lord" there. And so I started looking at that, like, what is the proper translation? And if you're new to Bible study, you're probably thinking, like, what's the big deal? I don't know. Jesus or the Lord, who cares? Well, in the context of verse 5, it says, "Now I want to remind you that you once fully knew it, that Jesus, who saved a people out of the land of Egypt, afterwards destroyed those who did not believe." Notice that the name Jesus there. So I started to unpack this, and it's the Strong's Concordance 2424. And Mike, I might mess this word up, but it's Iesous or Eiosis. So what this is saying is it's putting Jesus, the second person of the Trinity, at the time that Moses wrote the Torah. So we're talking Mount Sinai, about 3,500 BC. Jesus is there. And dispensationalists are like, this would make them flip a lid because Jesus wasn't supposed to be on the scene yet. During the Exodus, this is Yahweh, Father, talking. It's not the Son. But Jude's very clear here that it was actually Jesus. And it looks to me like the proper translation is indeed Jesus, which is based on the Hebrew origins, Joshua or Yeshua. And this has major, major significance to the Trinity doctor, which our boy Tertullian named. And it also opens the door to that radiant face of Moses as a typology for the transfigurations that we see in the Gospels. So that right off the bat, man, that's huge. You got anything you want to add there, brother?
Yeah, man. So I would pronounce it Iesous, but don't worry, I'll be messing up a lot of Greek words. I have a lot of Strong's Greek words that I will mess up. But so, yeah, Iesous. And when we were talking about this the other day, and it shocked me. But then when I was reading it in context, it makes sense because verse 4 says, "And deny our only Master and Lord, Jesus Christ." And then it goes in verse 5, saying the Lord as well. But individually, I wouldn't have said that until we looked into the Greek. But now it's plainly, it plainly does say Iesous was there saving a people out of the land of Egypt, and that was just remarkable. What I have on this verse, so basically, Jude, and I'm going back to Numbers 14. Jude reminds us of what happened in Numbers 14. God delivered the people of Israel out of slavery in Egypt. I mean, it plainly says that in Jude. They went out of Egypt and with unintended delays came to a place called Kadesh Barnea on the threshold of the promised land, on the threshold. This is the story of Numbers 14. Jude doesn't go into that much detail. But at Kadesh Barnea, the people refused to trust God and go into the promised land of Canaan. Therefore, almost none of the adult generation who left Egypt entered into the promised land. And it literally says they were destroyed for those who did not believe. And to me, and when you link it with Jesus and Joshua, that was a great comparison. Moses handing over, Joshua and Caleb are the ones entering the promised land. It's truly remarkable that it links it to Jesus, Iesous. I kind of want to go with that word destroyed. And what does that mean? So I was looking into the Greek word. Here's my first attempt at butchering a Greek word. It's called apolesen, Apolesen, and it links to the day of the Lord's coming. So here we are. We're talking about they denied the master in verse 4. Verse 5, Jude goes into talking about it was this master, it was Iesous, Jesus, leading Israel out of the land, subsequently destroying them. So going to the future and his coming, in his second coming, Luke 17, 26, and just as it happened in the days of Noah, that's always a comparison about his coming. So it will be also the days of the Son of Man. They were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying. They would be given in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them. Same word. It was it was the same as happened in the days of Lot. So now they're just comparing the flood and Lot. We'll be getting to Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah in a little bit. They were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planning, they were building. But on the day that Lot went out from Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven. So again, it's showing you the two different destructions, flood during Noah's days, brimstone and fire, which will be in the future as well. And destroyed, they were destroyed for not believing. And I thought that was interesting. You're pulled from the sin of Egypt, but you still got to believe. You got to have that faith that Yeshua will lead you to the promise.